morning, everybody. A little quick fade on the music. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks Sunday Stream of Consciousness. We're back live at 9 o'clock for the first time in, I don't know, it feels like a month. But we had a great vacation. I did go live a little bit late last Friday after the early football games and did an hour or so. And some of you joined me, some didn't. That's fine. But we're back in studio for the next 2 months anyway, before we go away again. Welcome everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all the groups that allow us to share. You see our favorite ones always scrolling at the bottom. John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime, the Love for Baseball, Flo and Can over at Bottom Line Sports. Check out their stuff. Good podcasts that they do. Who else? Let's Talk Sports. Ken Krause over at Golf Bud Sports of All Sorts. Quick shout to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff out of Ocean City, Maryland. Check out his Sports Corner with Smoking Jim Frazier every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Oh, God. Happy Thanksgiving weekend, guys. Hope you all had a great holiday. I did. Quick trip out to Connecticut for Thanksgiving dinner with my stepson and his fiance and her family and our family. And we had a great time. Getting back out to football for the first time in 3 weeks as well, for a month, really. So we'll have some fun today, and we'll have some fun talking college football. Big games last night. Conference championships are set. The playoff is not. It's going to be muddled. Tuesday is going to be interesting for the bubble teams. Teams that needed for Miami, for BYU. Well, they won yesterday, but some teams in front of them did not win or did not lose. Auburn, Alabama. Miami got no help in the ACC. The debate will continue with Miami and Notre Dame, but some big games yesterday. Auburn almost pulls an upset. LSU almost pulls an upset. We'll look at the college football playoff matchups, and we'll talk about the Group of Five pick as well. And we'll get into the NFL. Big days. Thanksgiving Day for the Cowboys, for the Bears, for the Bengals, all on the upswing. Even the Bengals still alive now with Joe Cool back. This is very similar to last year for them. They missed out the last week. They went 9-8. They ran the table, I think, 6 in a row at the end of the season. They need to do the same here. Cowboys playing great football. Bears, time to shut up, people. They're leading the division, 9-3. Still got 2 games with Green Bay, though. And, the Cowboys played great football the other day. Their defense is playing better. And what's wrong with the Eagles and Lions? There's more wrong in Philadelphia than there is in Detroit. I can tell you right now. We could talk a little baseball if you like, too. We had the Brandon Nemo, Marcus Simeon trade. Very interesting trade, I think, for the Mets. We'll get into more when we return to the MLB update here, maybe this week. Dylan Cease gets a huge contract with Toronto. The winter meetings start here in just a week's time, and things will start cooking then. Maybe it'll be a quiet offseason because we are heading towards a lockout in the spring, so we'll see. But this is your show, guys. Just a few things we can throw. Lane Kiffin, by the way, still no decision. I think the decision's been made. The negotiations now are whether he will continue to coach at Ole Miss. So we're live. We'll go to about 10:45 today. We'll go through we'll give all our NFL picks. I'll recap the pool so you guys know where everybody stands, and glad to be back on solid ground with you guys. Not glad to be back off the sea. I love it there. But good morning, Danny Fuller. Good to have you with us. Dave Guyette's with us up in Amsterdam, New York, as always. David, good morning. Danny's, CA, how are you, my friend? Nice win for Oklahoma yesterday in CA's part of the world. Big win for Texas. By the way, Texas had a great game on Thanksgiving Friday against A&M, the third-ranked team in the country. A&M is good. This is not about A&M. Texas is a good football team. Been inconsistent. They've got 3 losses. They beat 3 top 10 teams. They're going to be in a conversation for the number 12. We're going to have a big argument over who's number 12. And as a Miami fan, I will tell you, shut up. if you don't get in the playoff. You had a chance to take care of business and you didn't do it. But Texas played great on Friday. Arch Manning, don't look at the stat line, guys. Watch the second half of that game, and you tell me Arch Manning isn't getting better. You want to hate. Caleb Williams, Arch Manning, anybody who's got hype, people want to get on and hate and give up on them. I don't know. J.J. McCarthy. I know J.J.'s not starting today. They're starting like a guy who was third string at Minnesota, I think, today. I don't even know who they're playing. Kind of stop giving up on young quarterbacks. We act like the generation that's in their late 20s now, where they expect everything right now. We're a right now society. Give me what I want. I want a big screen TV, 100 inches. I know I can't afford it. I don't really need it, but I want it, so I'm going to get it right now. Quarterbacks take time. Not every one of them. Hello, Michael Abrams. How are you? Good to see you. Glad you could catch us this week. I know I've made it tough to catch me the last 3 weeks. Between timing of shows and not being able to use StreamYard on the ship and having to go live on Facebook, we've made it harder for you guys, and I apologize. But we're back, and hopefully we're better than ever. Happy Thanksgiving weekend to you too, Michael. Listen, if I'm entertaining, man. We have some fun. We do have some fun. We do have some good debate. And here's the thing. I want my show to be like this all the time. And I think social media 100% could be this way. But people in general, we should be able to have healthy debate about anything, sports, politics, I don't know, local issues in your area. You should be able to school board meetings, whatever. You should be able to go have healthy, well thought out. Well, my thoughts aren't always well thought out, but even like strenuous, exciting debate and still part friends. I can do that. I have never left here with not even the guy who said I look like a giant penis that I get mad at. I get worked up and I get excited, but I like to have fun. And this is fun for me. The debate is fun. Argue with Danny about whatever. Argue with I don't know, Rick or Billy or any of you guys. Michael, I just haven't had an argument with you, but they're not arguments. They're heated conversations. I get excited. I'm not angry. If I tell you don't know what you're talking about, somebody I said on the Pro Football Show, I said he was either drunk or stupid one night. I don't remember doing that. If I ever do that, I did it. I don't mean any harm. We're going to have fun, man. And I have fun. This is fun for me. Jeremy, another Detroit fan in the house. Good to see you. Sorry, your Lions are spitting a bit here a little bit. Lions beat Cowboys, period. Love a predictor. That is 4-52 lately. Listen, we have to give, and I said this on the Big Football Show a second ago. A minute ago. A little more than a minute ago. We have to give Brian Schottenheimer some credit here. This team could have easily gone off the rails early in the season. He kept them righted. I'm not saying this team's going to win out. I don't know that they'll make the playoffs. Right now, they're playing good football, and he's done a good job of keeping this team focused and not falling apart. That's coaching. You need horses. You need players to actually win Super Bowls. You need leaders to keep you afloat during the hard times. And I'm impressed. I wasn't impressed with the hiring of Brian Schottenheimer, but I'm impressed with the job that he's done there, regardless of what happens here the rest of the year. It's a great point, Danny. Notre Dame they're not going to drop. They're ninth right now, right? Are they going to move up? Where's my, it's going to be a very interesting poll release on, and this is one where teams often will move a little bit. I don't think I don't think Notre Dame is moving off that 9 spot. Is anybody going to drop? Texas A&M is going to drop, but they're the only team in the top 12 that lost. They've got to play in the Big 12 championship game. BYU does. Texas A&M fell out of the SEC championship game, which might be best for them. Oklahoma's better off not having to play in the Big 12 championship game. These games now are going to become irrelevant, I'm afraid, the more teams we add. But I don't think you're going to see a lot of movement. I think you'll see Georgia move up to 3, Texas probably up to 4, Oregon, I think everybody moves up 1 until you get to maybe, I think Texas A&M could fall to 8, maybe. I think they fall to 7. Actually, I fall to 7, I think. Ole Miss, Texas Tech, Georgia, and Oregon jump up ahead of A&M. I think they fall to 7. Oklahoma's secure at number 8. They don't play another game. Notre Dame at 9 could move up based on Oklahoma's struggles yesterday with LSU. They could move up. Maybe they move them ahead of Texas A&M. But they're secure. The Miami Notre Dame debate where, look, is there relevance to what Miami's got to say? The head-to-head should mean more than it does. Yes. But when you've put yourself in this position, Marco Cristobal after the game yesterday talked and said they're a playoff team, doesn't know what the committee's looking at. They should look at head-to-head. You have to look at the whole body of work, and Notre Dame's a better football team right now. They just are. I think they're at least the 3rd best team in the country. We'll see. They got to play some of these teams. I understand. But I just can't get excited. You're not going to hear this Miami fan when they get left out, and I do think they will. Maybe if Alabama loses badly to Georgia, they fall out. Where Alabama gets ranked this week is going to be very interesting. But there's too many factors against Miami. If BYU were to beat Texas Tech, now 2 teams are going from the Big 12 instead of 1. If Duke wins the ACC, God knows what's going to happen. But if you're fighting for that 12th spot, well, you didn't take care of business. Congratulations, Alan, on your Oklahoma victory yesterday. Your offense is putrid. I'm sorry. This team is going to be one and done in a playoff. The defense is first rate. John Mateer has been a disappointment. You can't blame the injury anymore. It's a month later. 3 interceptions yesterday, keeps LSU in that game. I wasn't impressed with them. I wasn't impressed with Alabama yesterday. And unfortunately, the Hurricanes, they're one of the 12 best teams in the country. With the system you have now, they played themselves. They should not be fighting for the 12th spot. They put themselves in this position. Utah put themselves in this position. Texas put themselves in this position. I hope Duke gets ranked this week. All I can say. Well, definitely. I give them respect. I just don't think I don't think the offense is there to allow this team to make any kind of run in a playoff. Depending on the matchup in the first round, they might get a win. But again, they probably should have lost this game yesterday. They're playing against a very poor offense. But they're playing against a good defense. I'll give them credit for that. But their offense just is not good. Lions. Problem is poor offensive. Look at. Jeremy, I don't disagree, by the way, but you can blame. There's about 5 good offensive lines in all of football. Patriots offensive line is atrocious, and I don't know what we're putting on the field Monday night. But you have to find a way to work around that. And no one wins one-on-ones opposite Aiden Hutchins. Aiden. I keep saying Aiden. My wife got mad at me yesterday. Well, he was a guest picker on game day yesterday. I kept saying Aiden. I've seen I add like vowels to people's names. I don't know why. So teams double and triple him. But that's what happens to great players. What do you think happened to LT? What do you think happened to, I don't know, Derek Thomas? Great players get double teamed. You have to scheme around it. So what you're telling me, and I don't think you mean this, Jeremy, is you got a coaching problem. You have to coach around injuries. And we're going to find out about the Lions. They still can make a run and get in the playoffs. We're going to find out about the Patriots, who lost half their offensive line. I don't know what the situation is on a lot of them from Monday yet, but Will Campbell is going to be a huge loss. I don't think he's coming back at all. I know he's designated to return, but I'd be shocked if he does. Injuries happen to every team, and you've got to coach through them. That's what coaches are there for. Figure it out. Some guys do. And am I wrong? Because again, remember I was away for almost 3 weeks. Did Dan Campbell take over play calling duties? Because it sure looked like he was calling plays on Thursday. And I will tell you, I don't think that's the best plan of action for the Lions going forward either. Good morning, Rick. Good to have you with us. Nice win for your Georgia Bulldogs on Friday. Very hard-fought game. I thought that game would be a very high-scoring game. Georgia Tech's offense has been terrible. But a nice win. I think Georgia's rounding into shape. I thought they had some smoke and mirrors going on early, but you can't look at. They got one loss. They're going to go up to number 3 likely, and I think they will beat Alabama in the SEC championship game, which could leave Alabama on the outside looking in, which would be good for Miami. Except I got to root against B. I got about 5 teams to root against. Notre Dame's done. They're in. Oklahoma's done. They're in. And Danny, going back to your point about forcing Notre Dame into a conference, that's not the committee's job, right? And remember, the college football playoff committee and the NCAA, 2 separate entities. All the committee cares about, I'm not sure what they care about, actually. I don't know if they want the best 12, and if they want the best 12, and this logjam again at 12 is going to be bad news for the group of 5 teams, I fear, going forward, and I think that would suck. But it's not the committee's job to force Notre Dame to join a conference. I mean, the only way that's going to happen if other teams can't schedule them because of their over-bloated conferences and having to schedule 9 conference games. They're not going to play. You're not going to go out and play 3 tough non-conference games. And if teams like Texas and Miami are not going to be rewarded for playing top 10 teams in week 1, they're not going to do it. All of this will make it hard for Notre Dame to schedule. That's where Notre Dame's going to get forced into a corner and have to say, I got to join a conference. And that's going to be the Big 10. I'm sorry, the Big 18, whatever the hell it is. But again, that's the world we live in sports, college sports today. That's what's going to make it hard. If I'm Miami and I'm Texas, why would I schedule? Excuse me, catching a little bit of a cold. If I'm Miami or Texas or anybody, why am I scheduling Ohio State or Notre Dame in week 1? I mean, Notre Dame's getting rewarded for scheduling Miami and Texas A&M back to back and losing them both. I mean, again, tell me what does the committee want? They want the best 12 teams playing right this minute. Does a body of work mean anything at all? It doesn't. They proved that with Florida State. Texas is arguably top 5 talent in the country. Not a surprise they beat A&M. No, they don't. I mean, there's a logjam at 2 losses. I can't put a 3-loss team in there, regardless of the fact that they beat 3 top 10 teams. It's just hard. I mean, this is going to give the college football playoff organization, which remember is different than the NCAA. It has nothing to do with each other. They're going to look to expand this again. And my fear will be, and I don't think expansion is the right thing at this point. Not the way you're doing it. I'm in favor of expanding if you're going to let all the conference champions in. That way we don't have a debate about the group of 5 being there. Put all the conference champions in and then only have 5 at-larges. I mean, the problem isn't the number of teams. It's the way we choose the teams that get in. So until you can have 24, you can have 48. So until you let every team in, you're going to have debate over the criteria that it takes to make it. If we move it to 16, then we're going to have an argument over who's 16 and 15, which is ridiculous. Same way in college basketball. Teams are arguing over who's the 64th best team in the country. If you're going to have that argument, you're crazy. If you're going to have an argument whether you're the 12th best team, which is why I'm not going to get mad when Miami's left out. Make sure you're one of the 4 best. Win the games you're supposed to win. Don't lose to Louisville. Don't lose to SMU. Concentrating on the Hurricanes again. Hello, Ken. How are you, my friend? Great to have you with us. Good to have you back and Flo. You and Flo back doing some shows. Hopefully that'll continue. I saw Ken thinking about doing something on your own in the New Year post you put up, Ken. Don't know what that is. Hope you'll keep us abreast and we wish you well in whatever endeavor you're talking about. I'd love to hear more about it. Just ready to see what the college football playoff displays. Yeah, I mean, we still got 2 weeks of game. We got a week of games, sorry. We got 2 more poll releases. I mean, the conference championship games, let me get to, I think I got this up here somewhere. Hold up. Here we go. The conference championship games on Friday. Here's the schedule and whatnot. And the games that will affect the, come on, get out of my way, would you? In the Sun Belt on Friday, December 5th, you got Troy and James Madison. James Madison's still in play for that group of 5. I think it's North Texas or Tulane's. I can't see any way. Tulane, if I'm not mistaken, was the only team ranked. Let me just double check that real quick. Yeah, Tulane was the only group of 5 team ranked. And the fact that they keep secret where anybody is after 25 lets them kind of do what they want. Because there is some chatter that if Duke were to win the ACC, and Brian Allen brought this up a few weeks back, that that doomsday scenario where no ACC team makes it could happen. Because Tulane and James Madison would suddenly be both in play. Let's say Tulane or North Texas and James Madison. Anyway, the rest of the conference that will have playoff implications. So does the American, played Friday at 7 p.m. Sorry, I skipped the Conference USA, Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State. We'll skip that. North Texas and Tulane, huge implications. The Mountain West, I think, is still, I don't know what the deal is with the Mountain West and the tiebreakers. Maybe Allen had some information. Maybe he knows who that is right now. Texas Tech and BYU, 11 a.m. on Saturday. Huge, huge game because BYU wins. Guess what? One of those at-large spots now has got to go to Texas Tech, and that pushes Miami even further out. That pushes Utah even further. Well, Utah's probably done. Texas further out. If BYU loses, it's good for Miami. They got to get to the 10th spot. You got to get to the 10th spot right now because 11 and 12 is going to drop for the ACC champion and for the group of 5 or group of 4, whatever it is today, group of 5. Mid-American, no implications there. SWAC, no implications. SEC will play at 3 p.m. Georgia, Alabama. Huge implications. The bye's in play. Georgia loses, they'd lose a bye. Alabama loses, they may lose a playoff spot. ACC championship, Virginia needs to win to be in. Duke wins, they're in, and we could put, or maybe they're not in. They're going to be 8-5. Are you going to put an 8-5 team in? I think the ACC still could be in danger of not having a champion. I don't think the committee lets that happen. I told Alan the other night, I really believe they don't reveal what they're thinking past 25, so they have some room to manipulate in this exact type of situation. Big Ten will be Ohio State, Indiana. Big game. I think it's irrelevant. I think without a blowout either way, both these teams will still get byes. I think they'll both be ranked in the top 4 regardless of the outcome, unless it's a big blowout. So interesting stuff. Ken, I would agree with you. Lane Kiffin should stay at Mississippi, but Lane Kiffin doesn't ever know what's best for Lane Kiffin. Everybody knows what's better for Lane Kiffin except him. If he was going to stay, he'd already have had an extension. Right now, it appears that the decision's been made. This is the latest news I have after scouring a gazillion sources this morning. The latest news I have is that he's taking the job. He's taking the LSU job, and right now they're still negotiating. He wants to coach Mississippi throughout the playoff, and Mississippi doesn't want that. So I don't know what kind of negotiations can possibly be going on, but that is what they're doing. Max Brosmer starting due to JJ's concussion. I thought it was a performance issue, but I could be wrong. Don't give up on JJ. Too early. It's way too early. And by the way, I did see too that bad for the Lions that Ragnar failed his physical and will not be returning to that team. Excuse me. Arch Manning this year has been a blueprint of how we need to respect the process of growth throughout the college football. By the way, in the NFL as well, Michael, I will add. Look at his numbers compared to others in their first season as a starter. That's fair. There are a couple guys that it doesn't apply to. Saying in Ohio State's completing 80% of his passes. And again, I'm saying this from a position where I also agree with what you're saying. Not everybody, but he also has the best set of receivers in the country. Maybe the 2 best receivers in the country. But I agree. You got to give kids time to grow into a job. Some take to it like fish to water. Same thing in the NFL. Caleb Williams haters, J.J. McCarthy doubters. Too many today have a beer budget on champagne taste. Wasn't that the Miller High Life's slogan almost? Well, where are we talking about that, by the way? Well, I'm not sure I understand the context, Danny. Tell me the context. I missed last week because I was sick in bed sleeping. Oh, well, that's fair. I hope you're feeling better. And I hope I'm not getting sick. Well, I do have a bit of a cold. But I don't think from traveling because we've been back a week. So I hope you feel better, Michael. Yes, debate. Ask Socrates. I can't ask him. He's dead. And I'll ask him when I get there. I'm assuming he's in the same place I am. What is important? Let's discuss, please. I am okay with vigorous debate. Off the hinge debate, even. Just bring real good. I have to have real information, right? Opinion matters. Opinion matters a lot. I have one. Everybody has one. They're just like, you know what? Just part friends. That's all I care about. In this day and age, people don't respect others' opinions if it doesn't match theirs. I've probably been guilty of that. And I do respect the fact that I may not respect the exact opinion they have, Jeremy, but I can respect the fact that they are allowed to have one, no matter how wrong it may be. But yes, I mean, everybody's allowed to have an opinion no matter how wrong it is. And at the end of the day, stop arguing about crap. If you can't argue and part friends, you shouldn't be having a conversation in the first place, or you were never friends or family. Danny loves debating. I couldn't tell. I can think. I think you left the word out. I'm going to add it for you. Hopefully, I'm not making a mistake because I do this many times. I can think of many times. Take either side just to debate. Oh, really? I've done that a few times, but usually I'm only going to debate the things I truly believe in. But actually, good debaters, Danny, to go back to your comment, a good debater needs to be able to debate either side of an argument, right? That's a great point. Chris F. Grave, ready to feel a little older? Yes. That's what I need today, is to feel a little older. Bo Jackson is 63 years old. That can't even be right. Now you've ruined my afternoon and my morning and my night. Just kidding. I have to tell you something. I'm happy to be 65 years old. For the most part, I feel pretty good. I've been on a bit of a weight loss journey, as I've told you guys here. I'm down 25 pounds. Again, it's like a deck chair blowing off the Titanic. I understand, but I've been pretty good. I have my moments. Thanksgiving, I enjoyed myself. I didn't drink. I had a couple glasses of champagne. I'll have a few beers today. But I'm finding that alcohol for two factors. Alcohol contains tons of alcohol or calories, empty calories, and also makes me eat more. So I really moderated there, and I had dinner. I ate everything I wanted to eat, and I've been very good. So I'm happy being 65. I'd like to stay 65 for the next 35 years is what I'd like to do. I'm not sure I can make that happen. Lions do not lose back-to-back games. So, yes, they beat Dallas and lose. That's a huge game, by the way, for the Lions next week. And there is a real thing called momentum, Jack. Jack, every show, Danny, you're doing a great job, by the way, of pushing the momentum button. It comes up every show. Jack, and I don't like to talk about Jack when he's not around to defend himself, but we'll probably talk about it tomorrow. Jack talks about everything that is momentum, except he won't use the word. Right, Danny? I believe you've called him out a couple times on it in comments, as Jack is describing a certain situation which you could only describe as somebody having momentum, except he won't use the word. The playoffs will come down to the SEC title game. Every team that is currently in has clinched their spot, unless you're agreed, Alan. Alabama has not clinched the spot. Let me look at this again. This week's rankings, too, by the way. Remember, there's another ranking coming Tuesday. So they could move guys around based on what they saw. Alabama could fall backwards. Oklahoma could fall backwards. They're in. I mean, I guess I can see a scenario where, Oklahoma, they're not going to fall back to 11. The place you don't want to be is 11 and 12, right? I suppose Alabama could fall backwards this week based off of a lackluster performance last night against Auburn. Ty Simpson didn't play well. Auburn should have won that game. Auburn was they gave themselves opportunity after opportunity, and they gave it away time after time. They give them credit. They played hard. They fought hard. They wanted to win that game. And obviously, those types of games are championship games of their own, in their own light, right? I mean, you're going to see some movement here, but at the bottom, Oklahoma and Alabama, I think Notre Dame's going ahead of Oklahoma this week, quite frankly, Alan, but I think that will be the extent of it. I mean, I think you're going to get an idea if this committee wants Miami in. Is there a way for them to move Miami to 10? They could drop Alabama to 11 and move Miami to 10, but does it really matter? It's not going to matter because if Alabama wins, they're going to be in, and so will Georgia. So it will still come down, as Georgia said, Alan said, and I said earlier, that Alabama-Georgia game is huge, and it's really the only one that's going to impact the standings. That's not true, actually, Alan. The playoff will also hinge on the Big 12 winner, because if BYU loses, they're out, which opens up a spot potentially for Miami, but that's only getting them to 11. Not enough. But if BYU wins, now you got two Big 12 teams. Do you know the way you're getting two Big 12 teams is if BYU wins. And that's going to push another team out. That might put some pressure on Oklahoma. Quite frankly, I think Oklahoma's solid. But if BYU beats Texas Tech, BYU's got to be in the field. The ACC championship game could have an effect because if Virginia doesn't win, does the committee have Duke high enough? We don't know where they have Duke, which is why they should have rankings that go further than 25 to have some transparency, because now they can do anything they want with their top 25 that last week if Duke should win, right? They can move Duke into the top 25 ahead of a second group of 5 team, for instance. No transparency. But yes, that's a huge game for all these bubble teams. BYU, Texas Tech, big game for the bubble teams. Didn't I just mention one other one? And the Big Ten game, I don't think has any meaning, because I do believe, barring some kind of weird blowout by either Ohio State or Indiana, I think they're both in the top 4 and going to get a bye. Good morning. Is that Jets? Got to be JB. How are you, JB? Good to have you with us. When JB comes in with a different signature, I don't know it's him, but I believe that's the one he caught me on last week. When Michigan goes independent due to the issue with asset funding, Michigan's never going independent. Nobody's ever going independent again. I mean, barring some weird circumstance where there's 2 huge conferences and certain teams are left out. There's only 2 teams that are independents. Michigan's not going independent. Notre Dame should join the Big Ten, but the conferences will soon be a distant memory in the coming years as the super conferences take hold. And we've talked about this before. And quite frankly, as much as I've hated the upheaval and the realignment in college football, maybe the only thing that really saves college football for people like me is that super conference where you've now got 60 teams, but we still have some kind of regional sense to the what's the word I'm looking for? To the layout of the conference, let's say. You'll have a division in the East and a division in the Southeast and a division in the West and the Midwest and the Southwest, maybe. Maybe you break out 6 divisions. Like it'll be like NFL. Maybe you'll break out 6 divisions, 2 conferences, 3 divisions in each that make regional sense. And then maybe we get back to some of our regional rivalries. I mean, that wouldn't be good for the other 70 teams in Division I football, but it's probably inevitable, as Michael says. Alan, are you under a different screen name too? I don't know. I can't keep track. The other question will be if 2G. Yeah, that's what I just mentioned, right? And I don't think it'll happen. I don't think this committee is going to allow 2G5 teams to get in. The fact that they keep secret everything below 25 allows them to do a great deal of manipulation if they have to. I think it's a travesty if an 8-5 Duke team gets in. And again, if you use not my idea, the idea that I endorse, Basement Bob, I have enough lawsuits. I have enough protesters outside my house. Go to 16 teams. I don't even care. Go to 24 teams, but invite every conference champion. Forget the group of 5 gets their own thing. Every conference champion gets in. I'd rather it be at 16, by the way, because then you'd have 11 automatic bids next year with the Pac-12 back and 5 at large. And if you can't freaking get a representative field that way, then just give up. I'm seriously thinking we should just go back to the freaking polls and let the writers decide the champions, because this isn't any better. I thought it would be better. I was a proponent of a playoff, but the problem is they keep tweaking criteria so nobody knows what it is, and we have to argue over who's the 12th best team in the country. Yeah, I agree. Listen, Oklahoma's had a very good season. They saved Brent Venables' job for sure. There's no doubt he was on a hot seat this year. Another 6-6 campaign, and they've been looking for a coach. And that's a really good job, by the way. Arguably, that would have been a more attractive job than Florida or LSU, in my mind. But didn't come open, won't come open. But Oklahoma is not going far, not with that offense. You have to score points in today's game. How ironical is it that last night that Auburn could not run the football? Their passing was what was suspect. They threw the ball very well, and I don't know if that bodes well for Alabama against Georgia. Ohio State has a cakewalk to another title. Who's beating them? Oregon, maybe. Doubt Indiana can. I don't know. I think Indiana could beat them. I mean, again, Ohio State. And here's the thing, too, Michael. If Indiana beats Ohio State in a close game next week, I don't know that it means Indiana's better, because it doesn't matter. If I'm these teams, I'm looking not to get guys hurt. That's what's really sad about this. And I think the conference championship games are going to go away. I really do. But who do I think can beat Oklahoma? I'm sorry, Ohio State. Listen, don't rule out Notre Dame. They're better than they were last year. Their defense is peaking at the right time. C.J. Carr is probably a better quarterback than I'm forgetting last year's quarterback now, Riley Leonard. At this point, he's progressed very nicely. Another guy who's played well in his first year, Michael. I'm not going to rule out. Well, I don't think Georgia can do it. I don't think Georgia's good enough. I'm not going to rule out Texas Tech in that defense. I'm going to tell you the one of the most talented teams in the country is not going to the playoff, and that's Miami. And Mario Cristobal's got a lot to answer for there because this team cannot be losing to Louisville and SMU. So, listen, Ohio State's good. But, again, how good's Michigan? Flawed team. Young quarterback. Who else did they beat? Texas. Very flawed team. Very flawed quarterback at the time they played him. I don't think it's a cakewalk for anybody. I think this tournament is wide open. I really do. Now, I mean, if Ohio State had won that game 50-6 yesterday, I'd feel differently. They didn't. A convincing win, don't get me wrong. Historically, the Super Bowl winner has superior line play. Look it up. That's where the games are won and lost. I've always said that all games are won in the trenches. Where you stand on both sides of the line is very important. But in this era of paying quarterbacks and wide receivers, like they're, crown jewels, offensive lines have taken a beating, and defensive lines, quite frankly, have taken a beating. Nobody's deep. If you get injuries, you have to coach around them. Kansas City won with some shaky offensive lines. The Patriots had some shaky offensive lines through the course of their run. Not awful, don't get me wrong. There's some good players. But they also coached these other players up. I give the coaching staff a lot of credit for a lot of those Patriot teams that were deficient up front with schemes and not asking guys to do things that they couldn't do. They've done that this year with this Patriot offensive line is not head and shoulders above anybody in the league. They're mediocre at best, and Will Campbell being out makes them probably less so. But they've coached them up and not asking guys to do things that they can't do. They give guys help. They keep guys in to block. They play call, to take the pressure off the offensive line. That's what I'm talking about, Michael. There are ways to coach around weak offensive lines. And I'm not going to debate, I'd have to go back and look at every single Super Bowl winner in their offensive line. In recent times, I will tell you it is more likely that you could win with a porous offensive line if you have talent around you. You got it, and it takes a special quarterback, right? Jared Goff is not Tom Brady. I'm sorry, Lions fans, he's just not. And if you don't have that type of quarterback, you probably won't overcome offensive line issues. And 100%. I agree 100%. They beat them for one reason. They pressured the quarterback with four guys. They had a tremendous offensive line. They had a tremendous, and again, the Patriots had found ways to win games, by the way, with that type of offensive line. That was not an offensive line we looked at as awful. But again, it wasn't, they had, up until that day, they had found a way to coach around the deficiencies on that offensive line. They were winning games by 38 points the entire season. And you had the best quarterback in the history of football, who unfortunately wasn't that day because he was pressured all day long with four guys. Steve Spagnuolo is one of the great defensive coordinators in the history of professional football. Just saying. But you're right. But again, I will tell you the Patriots won of their 6 Super Bowls. I can't think of more than one of them where they might have had a top 5 offensive line. Indiana is the only one that might beat the Suckeyes. I saw a funny commercial with, I don't know if it was the Heisman house or whatever. Anyway, Eddie George is driving a bunch of guys to somewhere in the Midwest, and they get to Michigan, and he says, "We're gonna have to take a detour. We have to drive around the entire state." Sorry. Look at Indiana's really good. And they've got probably the Heisman Trophy winner as well, by the way. I will tell you now, I believe my Heisman Trophy. Oh, sorry, Lacey, you okay? Kick the cat. Sorry. My Heisman Trophy order is this. I think these will be the three guys in New York. I think it'll be Mendoza. I think it'll be Jeremiah Love. I think it'll be Diego Pavia. And Mendoza wins. Mendoza's got the one. Nobody else has got that one moment, right? He's got the touchdown pass and that whole 36-second drive against Penn State. That's going to stick in people's minds. And I think he wins because of that. I think it'll be a very close vote. And I don't know what order Love and Pavia will finish in. But I think that'll be your final three. Campbell did take over play. When did this go up, by the way? I'm trying to see how far behind I am. Oh, I've fallen way behind. Guys, if you comment, stick around. I'll get to your comment, I promise. D. Campbell did take over playing, and he is not an O coordinator. He should not be calling plays. I agree 100%. Too many trick. You know what? Just freaking play football. Too many teams have to put in all these weird wrinkles, and they're failing miserably more than ever this year. Miami did it a few times yesterday. They have in Tony, they have a freak there who's thrown touchdowns in 4 consecutive games. But in the NFL, I see too many plays. I saw a play where they handed off and they threw it backwards to Goff and he dropped the ball. And I'm like, man, too many bad things can happen. You got studs on that offense. Just run the offense. You can get creative with movement and all this other stuff, which helps your porous offensive line. You don't need to do this nonsense. Oops, Dan Campbell needs to give back to play calling, without a doubt. Morning, all. Great wake up to the stream of consciousness. GB, is it? I stayed up late watching football last night. I usually wake up at like 4:45. And since I retired, it's getting a little bit later. But I woke up at 7:30 this morning. I was in a panic. I'm saying that players that were making it happen opposite Hutchinson. They aren't, I see. The coaching or the scheme. Not coaching or scheme. Players are not performing like they were 5 weeks ago. Hence, we're 3-3 during that stretch. Well, again, I certainly wouldn't say players don't matter. I'm just talking about more coaching around injuries when it comes to offensive line and such. A lot of OU haters here. Jeremy, I can't stand OSU, but they're going to beat IU by at least 15. I don't know. I really don't know about that. 450. That's not your record. Oh God. I right now like Indiana in this game. What's the line? Let's take a quick look if we can at the lines. Week 15. Texas Tech at the moment is a 12.5-point favorite over BYU. Georgia is a 1.5-point favorite over Alabama. Man, I gotta like that game's in the Georgia Dome, right? I gotta like out Georgia a lot in that game. Ohio State's 5.5 over Indiana. Listen, I see a letdown for Ohio State because the game won't matter. I see this being a close game, field goal one way or the other. And Virginia Tech 2.5 over Duke right now. If the committee ever want to send a message to leave Notre Dame out, again, I don't think that's the committee's job, though. Well, I guess you know, if they do run the playoff side of it. So how do you leave out a team that has been as dominant as they've been in the last 10 weeks? You can throw the schedule at me, I suppose. There has been a team in the country as dominant as Notre Dame in the last 10 weeks. Nobody. It's not even close. Now, I understand they're not playing a Big Ten schedule or an SEC schedule. I get that. You can't. And by the way, they also have Notre Dame's bring eyeballs to the TV. Jack brought it up this morning, and I think whether they do it consciously or subconsciously, I think this committee knows that we're better off with Notre Dame in the tournament. So I don't necessarily disagree with you, Danny. I mean, it will happen at some point. I mean, look at it. And they already changed one thing for Notre Dame's favor. So to your point about the committee sending messages, they sent a message this year by changing, partially because of the group of 5, Boise State getting the bye last year. They changed the fact that the top 4 teams, regardless of who or where they play or whether they were a champion, get the byes. That also affected Notre Dame, don't forget. Prior to this year, they could get no better than the 5th seed. And they're not going to get better than the 5th seed this year, obviously, unless some weird crap happens. But the messages they are sending and have sent are not, Notre Dame, you better get in a conference, when they've given Notre Dame a path to a bye without having to join a conference. So I don't think there'll ever be a taste for sending Notre Dame a message. Nobody does that. The ACC could have sent Notre Dame a message during 2020 season when they let them play in the conference for 1 year. They already have, right, a connection, an agreement to play X amount of ACC teams, but when they let them in to play in the league, because it's the only way Notre Dame could have had a season, they should have said, yeah, you can come play here, but you're going to play here forever. And they didn't do it. USC and Michigan are discussing leaving the Big Ten. This is news to me, and becoming independents like Notre Dame. Why would they do that? How are they going to schedule? One giant independent team can schedule a 12-game schedule, a competent one. How is 3 or 5 independents going to schedule when teams have to play 9 conference games? They're not all going to schedule these guys. I don't see it happening. You know why, Jeremy? Notre Dame can do it because they've got a $25 million check coming from NBC. USC and Michigan are not leaving the TV money behind. They can't afford it. Their programs would likely go belly up. Do you think some network is going to give it USC or Michigan their own independent TV contract like Notre Dame? That's not happening. Now, if you told me a bunch of teams wanted to leave, whatever, USC and Michigan wanted to leave, first of all, they shouldn't be in the same conference, but we'll forget that for a second. If you want to tell me 2 teams were going to leave the Big Ten, 2 teams were going to leave the SEC, 2 teams leave the Big 12 and go with Notre Dame and form their own conference, might be feasible. More independence, I don't think is going to happen. While I think, and Jeremy, I will add this, I do think in some ways it would be better if we had another, 10 independent teams. I mean, it used to be a ton. Pittsburgh, when they won in 76 with Tony Dorsett, they were an independent. Penn State was an independent for decades. Who else? Basketball, there were tons of them. But again, the financial benefits of being part of a league and TV contracts and bowl money that gets split. Again, that's the one place that you really make out. Remember, Notre Dame doesn't have to split their bowl money, their playoff money with anybody. It's all theirs. But they also have that $25 million contract with NBC. I don't see it happen. College football needs an entirely new model. I don't disagree with that. I mean, when every conference has got to get decided by a freaking tiebreaker, you're doing something wrong. How many conferences didn't get decided by a tiebreaker? Let me look at the standings here real quick. The American Conference had to have a tiebreaker to determine the two teams that played. The ACC, obviously, they had 5 teams with the same freaking record trying to get that second bid. The Big 12. Big 12 was clean. There one league that was clean. The Big 10 was clean. Okay, fair enough. Conference USA was clean. Mid-American Conference had to have a tiebreaker. The Mountain West, I still don't know who's playing. They got 6 teams tied at 6-2. I have no idea who's playing. The Pac-12, they're all tied at 1-1. Joke. The SEC had 4 teams at 7-1. You want to keep growing these conferences. You want to take the divisions away. You want to play unbalanced schedules. This is the type of chaos and ridiculousness that you're going to see. What kind of way is this to decide who plays? You know, it doesn't the Sun Belt. James Madison won the East. Troy won the West. No tiebreakers. I'm not saying you wouldn't sometimes still need tiebreakers and with divisions, but they've done everything they can to make this more convoluted than it has to be. Let me finish it here. Greed rules. There you go. Rating rules. There you go. Not the best, not the most deserving. Thank you, Michael. I wish you were on this show or coming on the show, following the show in 2023, because I was one of the few guys here. I don't remember where Danny was. I really don't remember. But I know where a lot of people were that Florida State didn't deserve to be in that playoff. And you are 100% wrong. When you win a Power 4 conference, when you go undefeated and you don't make the 14 playoff, and you put a team in there that lost 2 games, if I'm not mistaken, maybe it was 1. It's ridiculous. They earned their way there. So what is the criteria? I want the best teams that are playing today. I want the best teams that have the best resume, the 12 best teams that have the best resume. I want the 12 teams that are most deserving. Those are 3 distinctly different things. And nobody can seem to make up their mind what they want. I'm sorry I ever pushed for a playoff in the first place. I'll go back to letting frickin' writers decide it, and then we're going to have the same frickin' arguments anyway. At least it was over the 1 and 2 teams in the country. It wasn't about who was 12th. So no matter what system you put in, we still have to have human beings putting people into the field. And we get all these ridiculous arguments about who's the 12th best team in the country. There you go. Thank you. OSU survived Oregon in their own stadium. Thank you. They did. And Indiana smoked Oregon by 10 in Oregon Stadium. Indiana can win, not saying they will. I agree 100%. This is not the same football team that got smacked by Ohio State last year. It's a much better football team, starting with the quarterback. They're bigger up front. We talked about the trenches, offensive and defensive lines. They're bigger and stronger. That's where Ohio State just overpowered them last year. I'm not saying they'll win either, Jeremy. I'm saying they'll have a better chance this year, and they do have a fighting chance. You can't count anybody out on any given Saturday. Danny made a big deal about Alabama wasn't going to lose last night, and in the end, they didn't. Good call, Danny. They certainly had the opportunity to lose. That's all I was talking about. A given is a team is definitely going to go out and win 60-3. That's all I'm talking about. There was a rooting chance for Auburn to win that game. Especially when you get to those rivalry games, throw the records out. I mean, Auburn shouldn't have been in that game. They were. They should have won it. It cost themselves. Yes, conference champs should beat it, and then allowed 5 other committees. There you go. Thank you, Michael. Be careful, though. You might get sued if you say it too strongly, because Basement Bob could be watching us in his mother's basement. He wrote a book, and his mother's the only one that bought it, from what I know. But he did try to sue me. As long as you take the top 5 conference champions, no matter, I'm definitely taking them, because I'm taking them all. No matter which, you obviously have to. Hold on. No matter what, you actually have to. That leaves only 7 at large spots. I'm a lord. If you look behind me, there's my picture, my lord picture. That leaves only 7 at large spots. You need to expand the tournament. I don't need to. What's wrong with 7 at larges? I'm going to 16, by the way. Again, in my not my. That's where I get myself in trouble and the lawsuits start. In the model that I endorse, 16 teams go, 11 conference champions, and 5 at large. I think 5 at large is enough. I'm sorry. I don't need to see 3 lost teams in the playoff. I understand Texas beat 3 top 10 teams this year. I get their argument. They also lost 3 times to teams they probably shouldn't have. Go undefeated, you're getting in a playoff. Win your conference, you get in a playoff. I don't need 24 teams. You want to go to 24 teams, fine. But if you're going to anything more than we have now and you don't put in all the conference champions, I really am not interested. I'm not. Do I need to see, a 10 out of 18 or 10 out of 16 teams in the SEC get in? Do I need to see them bring in, a 4-4 Tennessee team? No, I don't. Then I wouldn't. Then I don't know whether he's a late great John DeLon. I hope he's okay. John DeLon, or SEC elitist, who used to come on the college football huddle, argued against all of this. That it was a participation trophy tournament, which I disagreed with. At 12, I would disagree with if you let all the conference champions in. But if we start letting 24 teams in, and you're going to say, okay, by the way, because here's the other problem, Danny. Once you do this, once this tournament expands, it's not expanding without the SEC and the Big Ten getting, 5 automatic bids. I mean, they're never taking the model I endorse. This team goes no bigger. Doesn't matter whether it's 14, 16, or 80. God help it go to 80. The whole league would be in for those 2 conferences. Whatever expansion comes, they're going to get X amount of teams no matter what. Which means if you're taking 5, what did they go for? Was it 4? I think to go to 16, they wanted 5 automatic bids apiece. Which means, by the way, let's just say it was 4. You'd have USC in the playoff. If it was 5, you'd have Michigan in the playoff. Well, assuming no tiebreakers, right? And I guess you'd have Texas and Oklahoma. Well, no, they're going to get 4 anyway. SEC's getting 4 this year no matter what. I don't know. The problem is these two conferences have way too much power. So whatever you do is going to get bastardized and leaning heavily in their favor. Half the teams shouldn't be coming from one conference, or 2 conferences, I should say. And we saw it in the NCAA tournament. I want to say of the 68 bids last year, like more than almost a third of them were from 2 conferences. Or 3 conferences. Sorry. Well, I should have the best. Maybe I'm wrong with my math. My math isn't good. Should have the best 5 conference champions, then 5 mid-major conference champions. Well, that's kind of what I just said. Right. That's what I said. That's all of them. There's only 10 leagues right now, 11 next year when the Pac-12 is back. There's only 10 conferences. So careful, you'll get sued, Jeremy. Basement Bob is watching. Chris gets... Amid all this chaos, Chris gets the Toronto Argonaut. Chris gets a Toronto Argonaut coming in. They went on a signing spree. No shortage of American college players coming north. I don't doubt it. You know, there was a time where they were bringing in top American talent. Don't forget, Warren Moon started there. Tom Cousineau, I think, started there. 3 teams don't belong. Texas should not be in the conversation. 3 lost teams don't belong, rather. I agree, Neil. By the way, Neil, I believe this is the final. Let me go to the ESPN since we're talking about this, and Neil's here. Hopefully you're still here, Neil. Let's look at the final standings for the college football picks, and I'll do my pro picks here in a minute. Neil, with a resounding 84-56 record, wins the regular season. There's no more games, so this is over. Danny made a late run, I think, to get this. Well, not necessarily. Anyway, he and Rick end up tied at 78. So does Boomer Sooner. Allen ends up tied at 78. The J Train got himself up to 75. TGI Sports Talk limped in at 74. Michael, 71. If you ain't cheating, which I think is Brian, 69. Paul with 66. ESPN fan, we don't know who you are, so we're not going to give you that. Scott Kobe, a late joiner, finished under 500 after taunting us for a week, said he didn't get in the pool because he would kick our ass. So congratulations, Neil, on winning the college football pool. Your Lamborghini will be in the mail. Hello, Matt. How are you, my friend? Good to see you out there on the West Coast. Go Bulldogs, blast Bama. I think they will. I'm not a Bama hater. I again, the sport's better when Alabama's good. The sport's better when Notre Dame is good. The sport is better when USC is good. It just is. But I do like Georgia here. Plus, I need Alabama to lose for the Hurricanes to have any chance at an at-large. I'm going to tell you right now, if they aren't 10 in this coming Tuesday's poll, they're not getting it. And even if they're 10, it doesn't guarantee anything because of BYU's Big 12 situation and the ACC mess. I think if Indiana loses, they drop to 4. I would say that's fair. And if Ohio State loses, they drop to 3. I think that's fair. Everybody else pans out, especially as everybody else pans out, especially the Georgia team. Georgia needs to win to get a bye. Texas Tech would still be in line for a bye, right? I think the teams that are still looking at a bye. This show's turned into the college football huddle. Oops, where'd the rankings go? And again, we'll see what the rankings look like on Tuesday to really say this. Texas Tech has still got a shot at a bye. Georgia does. A&M won't because they don't have another game. Oregon won't. Ole Miss won't. That's it. I mean, this really comes down to Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Georgia, and Texas Tech, where the buys are going to be distributed. So I think that's it. Top 5 as they are today, I think will be the top 4 will come from those 5 teams. So regardless of the outcomes of these conference championship games. Mariano Duncan, one of my favorites with the Yankees, managing in Mumbai. Oh, God, is he really? If anything, the level of baseball being played is just fun. Games not pulling in a large crowd. Can these games be watched anywhere? Mariano Duncan was one of my favorite Yankees on that 96 World Championship team. I think he was on that team. He played for them for 4 or 5 years in the early to mid 90s. Chargers 27, Vegas 6. If we can't beat them, we're not post-war. I agree 100%. Listen, the Chargers, getting into the NFL a little bit, I haven't heard one peep from the Bear and Caleb Williams haters here today. They're for real. They're 9-3, guys. They beat the Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions, who have some serious problems. Their offense has no plan. They don't play. It's just, I think it's time to throw to AB. I think it's time to throw to Devontae. Let's maybe give it to Saquon this time. You have the best running back in football, and you're not using him as your centerpiece like you did last year. There's no plan on offense. Most teams are running. They may give up this series and another series early in the game to set up plays later. The Eagles don't do that. The Eagles are just trying to distribute the football, it seems, on offense. They have no plan at all. And if their defense can't carry the day, they are not going to win. I don't think Nick Sirianni, I've said this. This is not me saying this now. This is me saying this the last 3 years. Nick Sirianni is not a leader of men. He is not a really good head football coach, because there's too much dysfunction on this team. They somehow put it aside last year and made a great run to the Super Bowl and won. I think they won despite the coach. I said that on the Big Football Show this morning. I'll say it now. There are teams, and Jack called me out on it, name one, teams that have won despite their coach. I gave him the Ravens with Brian Billick. We came up with one other one. Who was it? God, no, I can't remember who it was. Could be the Pittsburgh, despite Mike Tomlin, but no, I think Mike Tomlin's a good coach. Who was the other one we came up with? Damn, I don't remember who it was now. Isn't that awful? Who was it? Oh, man, I can't. Oh, it was Ditka and the Bears. I don't think Mike Ditka was a great coach. I love Mike Ditka commentating. I love Mike Ditka as a player. He had some fire. He had great coordinators. He had great players. I think that's a great indicator of a team that won despite their coach. Hello, AC. Good to have you with us. Thank you for endorsing Miss Stefanik on your page. Opinion is not the same as passion. Agreed. And sometimes passion gets in the way of opinion. Passion is developed while opinion is more of a volley into the void. If you cannot defend your opinion, you sound like Stephen A. Smith. If you're believing in your stance and truly able to defend, you're able to engage in valuable debate. I try to do that myself. Again, I don't get into debate for debate's sake. I can sometimes be I sometimes can be a little contrarian, I guess, depending on the situation. But usually I have a strong feel. Facts and debating. Thanks for filling in the blank. I don't know what I did. I'm a master debater. AC, you're one of my favorites, buddy. Oh, God. By the way, check out Michael's stuff. Michael Dighton Edwards' writings on TGI Sports Talk, and I posted to my personal page and some of the groups, so thank you for allowing that. But Michael does some great stuff. Great article about Thanksgiving and football and everything else, how everything ties together this past week. Michael's a deep thinker, man. He has a way. I can barely talk and articulate my opinion or a story. Michael, and I much less write it. Michael has a gift, and man, somebody ought to be paying him for this. And not that I'm volunteering, Michael, but Michael does some great stuff. Keep it up. AC does bring it, doesn't he? Holy moly. Jesus, good grief. Love that guy. What time was that post? I'm trying to read. How come I can't see the time? Oh, 9:35. I'm that far behind? Still? Just try to catch up a little bit. I think you've defended your stance. I think you did fine. Yeah, you did fine. He learned from his college professor. Jack definitely avoids using the word momentum, but he does talk it right and left, doesn't he? Good grief. Let me try to get caught up here a little bit. Georgia will beat Alabama, no doubt. 52. Is that like 6-7? I was thinking the same thing. Bama getting into the conference championship game and a loss could hurt them, and will hurt them, actually, as they're not getting in at all. I agree. There's always these instances every year where it hurts a team to get in. If they lose, I mean. But again, there's also, that's another consideration, right? Should you penalize a team because they had to play an extra game? Right? I talked about head-to-head. Does it, what's the criteria that matters? Head-to-head important. When you win is important. Being the best 12 team right now today, being the best 12 teams over 12 games. Don't know why I said this. Making your conference championship game shouldn't hurt you because you played an extra game. I don't know. If Auburn had an offensive scheme, they win. That was just Daniels. Was it Daniels? Is that the name of the quarterback, I think? It was just him running around making plays up, I felt like. Hello, Sharon Moore in Michigan. Maybe have a plan to win. Just not just show up. Sometimes your plans get blown up by better teams, though. You got to remember. Been saying that, Jeremy says. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think Sharon Moore, listen, that team, you think a different coach, there's a different outcome yesterday, really? You think this team is better than, what are they, 9-3? I'm not sure they are. I think Sharon Moore got as much out of this team as anybody could have gotten out of this team. I have no dog in this fight. BYU might push Oregon out. Well, you know what, Michael? It depends on this week's rankings, quite frankly. You'd have a hard time keeping Oklahoma and pushing Oregon out, right? I don't think that's going to happen. I think if BYU wins, Oklahoma could be in danger. Notre Dame could be in danger, I suppose. Miami would be out. All the bubble teams would be out. I don't think Oregon's going to fall far enough. Oregon had a pretty dominant win yesterday over a decent Washington team. Rockies have not fully subscribed to analytics. Pains me to ask, is that part of their struggle? No, they don't have good baseball players. Yeah, that's a good topic for our MLB update during the winter. Make sure you bring that up when we do. We do have another MLB update, Michael, because we can talk about. Chris, I'm sorry, I thought that was Michael. Chris, sorry about that. I'm going to say no. I mean, they just don't have good players. And again, I guess part of my answer is going to be because I'm so analytics. But analytics don't work if you don't have good players. Michael supports and roots for more, but yes, he is a coordinator. He's a good man. He's a phenomenal. He is phenomenal as a leader of young men, but he's not a head coach that can lead a program to glory. He's displayed that. I don't know. Has he had the horses, though? I don't think he's got the horses, Michael. No way in hell Michigan goes anywhere. Yeah, I agree. No time for convo, but you've been chatting with Who's Wanted, one of the likes of Victor Hansen, Heather Richardson, over 20 years. Is a dishonest left who doesn't want debates. Well, sure. I'm not sure who we're talking about here. I'm not sure where this came from. See, I know somewhere I probably said something about something to do. I don't disagree with that at all, by the way. You only have to look at the government shutdown to know where the problems are and who shut it down. Just look at the votes. Michigan and USC have both threatened the Big Ten to leave for independent. That's the second time I've seen that comment. I don't know if it's the second time from you, Jeremy. I don't think they're going anywhere. Where are they going to go? You're going to bypass like $40 million almost in TV revenue? They can't afford to do that. How are they going to do that? Nobody's leaving. Nobody's leaving a big conference, that's for sure, where there's significant TV revenue. I suppose, the Mountain West teams can't afford to lose with $4 million in TV revenue. How are these teams going to compete at the level they want to compete at without that $30 to $40 million in TV revenue? It's impossible. If you're getting a playoff every year and all that money is yours, all that bowl game money, all that playoff money is yours, you don't have to split it 18 ways. Well, yeah, maybe. And USC, they made their bed. They should have stayed where they were. They broke up a conference that had 125 years of great history for nothing. Well, for money. I've talked about it before. These big conferences need to go to separate divisions. 100% they do. You can't have almost every single conference, except for a couple, that you're deciding championships or who participates in championships on tiebreakers. And these teams haven't even played each other. The ACC is a perfect example of what's wrong with this whole system today. They still would have had teams tied, or maybe not, because you play a different schedule if you had the divisions, but it's ridiculous, man. Super conferences are coming in our lifetime. Don't dismiss. I'm not dismissing it quickly. I don't think I did. I think I said it was coming. And I think I said it would be probably, in a weird way, good for the game of college football, because we might get back to some kind of regional something that made sense regionally, because you're going to have 60 teams and you can put them in divisions in their respective regions and maybe get back some of our longtime rivalries. The European soccer model, you're talking about I dismiss a little bit the relegation and whatever they call the promotion or relegation or whatever it is. What's that? I don't know. I've been out of town. I've been out of the country for 2 or 3 weeks. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? What was reported 2 or 3 weeks ago? With Dan Campbell, I think that's the question I asked. Remember, I've been out of the country and not really paying attention. Yes, I have my cell phone and I have access to news. But when I'm away, I'm not tethered to what's going on here in the States, I can tell you right now. YouTube started using channel names instead of usernames. Oh, is that right? Interesting. What do you got, Neil? What time have I caught up to? 10:44. Jesus Christ. 9:44? I'm 45 minutes behind. You guys have been great today. I better get going. I only got another 17 minutes. What do I have? 12 minutes. The committee would certainly lose all credibility putting Duke in if they beat Virginia. If they're the highest ranked conference, though, the highest ranked conference winner, and they haven't ranked anybody but Tulane outside of the Power Four. I mean, you can't leave Duke out for, the fifth place team in the Big Ten. You can't do that. It's going to have to be a conference winner that knocks them out. So it's got to be, you're talking about Tulane. Let's just say Tulane beats North Texas and James Madison wins. You're talking about a tournament with both Tulane and James Madison. That's what you're looking at if they leave Duke out, which I'm not saying won't happen, and I'm not saying it shouldn't happen. I'm just saying I can't see a universe where they put 2 group of 5 teams in. Bowl games of the old days. Yeah. Oh, it never will happen. I agree, Danny. I think arguing about who's the number 1 team in the country is better than arguing about who's the number 12 team in the country. That's all I'm saying. It's great that the championships are decided on the field. That's all well and good. But when you were having all this debate and all this angst over the teams that are 9, 10, 11, 12 and should be playing for that championship, it just seems to lose something. Not an automatic bid to the ACC champion. They have to be ranked in the top 5 conference champions. So if James Madison or Tulane were ranked ahead of Duke, that would be an automatic bid for that team. If both of them get ranked ahead of Duke, they both get in. I fell for that too, Jeremy, by the way, originally. I'd forgotten the fine print. The Power 4 conferences don't have automatic bids. It is the 5 conference champions that are ranked the highest. So if James Madison and Tulane, for instance, were ranked ahead of Duke, they get in, Duke stays home. Hello, Paul Spada. How are you? Last year was the best format to determine nationals I've ever seen. But then you end up with all this nonsensical debate about who's 12th. I don't. Georgia's the only team that can beat Georgia. I do not think there's only one team that can beat any of these teams. We've seen all year long teams get beat that shouldn't. No other defense can slow them down. I don't know. They haven't played those defenses. How do we know, Michael? This is why I always am, again, we can talk about hypotheticals all we want, and we don't know until we get there. I don't know if Indiana's better or not. We'll find out next week, or will we? If Indiana wins a close game, we'll be able to say Ohio State had a little letdown after finally beating Michigan. I don't know. It's all debate. Matt Patricia's done a great job, by the way. Matt Patricia is not a good defensive coordinator. He's not a great defensive coordinator. He is a tremendous, outstanding, one of the best ever defensive coordinators, and literally a rocket scientist as he graduated down the road here at RPI in Troy. He is literally a rocket scientist. Anyway, but Georgia can grind out and win. Their offense is just good enough to beat OSU. How do we know Indiana is in that team? I don't think Ole Miss beats OU. I don't think Oklahoma beats OU. I will tell you this. If Miami finds a way in, they will be dangerous. Notre Dame, I think, can beat any of these teams today. Again, it's all conjecture until they play. None of these teams we've talked about have played each other. Geddy Lee of Rush has been a lifetime Blue Jays season ticket holder and has a massive historic baseball memorabilia collection worth millions. What's his address? I'm going to send some people over there. I need millions. Brady couldn't beat the Giants twice due to line play. Second one had nothing to do with line play, but that's fine. He was a little better than Manning. Wow. Eli Manning is 100%. The best description I ever heard of Eli Manning is he is Jay Cutler with 2 fluke Super Bowl wins. Giant defense beat him, and 2 tremendous catches by wide receivers beat the Patriots, not Eli Manning. I think this Ohio State team is more complete in all aspects of football than last year. Just my opinion. Fair. And Keith, I agree that Indiana could beat OSU like the Bannersless Quacks did last year. Good point. And then play in a Rose Bowl, a more meaningful game. Paul knows what transpired. Spagnuolo deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. 100%. Grisham coming back to New York? No. I'm not really, listen, $22 million. I'm not really a fan of that pickup. Grisham is not going to repeat what he did last year. You heard it here first. Kick the cat. You're better than that. By accident, I was turning in my chair. So we say how good is Oregon after barely beating Penn State, but want to give a player the Heisman for beating Penn State. I don't think that's the same thing, Danny. It's the circumstance. It's the way it played out. Their season was on the line. I would have said that against. It doesn't matter who he beats like that. Again, voters have a habit of looking at signature moments for Heisman winners. That was a signature moment. Their backs to the wall. They're going to lose to that team. If they lose, if he doesn't have that drive, he doesn't win. He won't win the Heisman. I 100% believe that. When it works, everyone's happy. When it doesn't, they bash him. Those trick plays fail. He's awful. No coach is perfect. Fair. I'm not a big fan of a lot of trickeration. You know, you're good enough. Just go up there and play football and win games. Now, simple, I don't know. It depends on the situation. I see way too many teams get too creative, like inside the 10-yard line. Just run your plays. With that said, obviously, Love has no significant win this year. That's very true, too. Miami played a tougher schedule and early, beat Notre Dame, just saying. I agree, but the problem is you lost to Louisville and SMU. So if they don't get in, I'm not making a big stink about them beating Notre Dame 3 months ago. But they're not consistent in the way they approach the committee in my mind. Some games count more than others. Sure hope that $10 million Georgia Tech got for a neutral site was worth it. Mm-hmm. It's more than $10 million, isn't it? After they play 3 games, I'd have to look this up, Danny. But I'm guessing they got more than $10 million for the 3 games they played in the playoff last year. Absolutely no way USC left the Pac-12 for TV money, 100%. The Angels of Anaheim are going to be looking for their third baseman didn't want to play baseball. I mean, he made a big deal about the fact he doesn't like his job. I had to let go of him then. So they're paying him a bunch of money to go away. take a flyer on Patrick Wisdom, who just hit 35 home runs. This guy had a few shots in the big leagues, didn't he? With that said, the Angels could use all the help they can get. So, Danny watched him play at Marietta High School. Nice. Sorry, guys, I'm going a little fast, but we got to wrap this up. And I don't think I'm getting all the comments today. Maybe I will. Hold on. Let me get going here. I was completely PO'd when they announced FSU was out looking in Travis. There you go. Thank you, Danny. I couldn't remember who. I remember some of the people who thought it was okay. Your quarterback's not playing. You can't play. Who cares? You earned the right to be there. Auburn should have. You know what, guys? I would suggest don't put up any more comments unless it's goodbye. Sorry. I don't mean to be rude. Auburn should have won, no doubt. Even Vegas had it at 6, later 6.5. So win is a win. Yeah, 100% your record. Listen, wins are wins. I don't disagree. I'm not making that point at all. Auburn had their chances to win that game. They didn't take advantage. NC Division 1A or FCS, whatever it's called today, has a 2014 bracket, and that's where we're headed in the next 3 to 5 years. You're probably right. Danny Fuller, neat. For myself, I got to see him as a Blue Jay on his last legs in 1997. Are we talking about Patrick Wisdom again? Esgrave is my hero. By the way, C signs for a gazillion dollars up there in Toronto. Chris Esgrave has gone to the mat to get irreverent information. Not irrelevant, irreverent. He did his job. Sanders wasn't bad versus the Raiders. Mike Ditka. Nick Siguran is a smart coach, but like you said, he's not a leader. There you go. Urban Meyer Light. That's a good one, AC. Oregon, number 1. I don't know about that. They'll have to win it to get it. Enjoy, AC. Oh, my God. I'm so excited for Lee Stefanik in New York City can have Bandami if the rest of New York gets out at least. Believe me, us upstaters will be out in force. Too kind for you, me. No, thank you. Michael, I thank you. You've done a great job. You continue it, and let's go. Give me a new article. Again, first ever comment, sports. My first ever comment, sports is a microcosm of our society dilemma. Instead of debates on them alone, creating a logical, dishonest diversity in our human condition expands power. That's a little heavy for this late in the day, but I agree. I think I agree, CA. I got to go back, and I promise to reread that comment. The model is exposed this year, folks. It's been flawed, but we all stick our heads in the sand until we wake up. Let's fix it. Yeah, let's go back to the writers in that chaos. That's what I want. I do. Michigan, no plan to win. Trust me, I love more, but they didn't have a plan to win. They played just to compete. Fair enough. I was paying much more attention to the Miami game, believe it or not, than that one. I had them both on, but I paid much more attention to the Miami game. Oregon's a one-loss team. They're not falling out. No way Oregon's on the bubble. I agree 100%. If Indiana gets blown out by the Buckeyes, then Oregon could get boxed out. You're not falling. Unless somehow the committee drops them to 9 this week, which isn't happening. That's not going to happen. You can't leave one-loss teams out for 2. Oh, wait, they've done something very similar. PDC had Owens change his name to Master. Michigan and USC are seriously about leaving for real. I really don't. I don't know. I'll take your word for it. I'm not going to get. I can't get. They should have stayed in the Pac-12. There'd still be a Pac-12, and maybe they could have got a real TV deal if they brought a few more teams in there. European model is coming. I don't. Listen, I'm not going to say no to anything anymore. We're grateful we're back from vacation, didn't fall overboard. My wife wanted to throw me overboard a couple of times. James Madison would beat Duke on the field. Probably true. Bowl games, please. This mess not fixable. Preparation age-related game 5%. J-Level not gain 50 yards versus the Buckeyes if they play. I'll book that bet for any amount for anyone. Be careful. I mean, he rips off 50 at once all at the same time. For that game only. Fine. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if that's what he meant, that's fine. Notre Dame cleared $29 million for losing the championship. There you go. Thank you, Danny. 20? Okay. I would have thought 29 was closer myself, but goodbye. Michael, have a good day, my friend. You have a great day. Wonderful day. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning with Mac and Jack. Weekend playbook, and it's great to be back in the States, and great to be back with you guys. So have a great day. We'll see you later, guys. Bye-bye.